Hi there, I'm David. Today's practice will be a gentle full body practice, and you'll need a pillow of some type. I've got an actual bolster, so if you have one of those, you should definitely grab it. If you don't have one of those available, you can grab a pillow or two from your bed, or you can even grab a blanket and roll it up into a big roll so you have something to lay on. If you need to grab that, feel free to put the video on pause, go grab your stuff, come back with a yoga mat and the bolster, and we'll get going. Now, for now, if you will, just go ahead and sit up really tall, and we'll start with some breathing practices. So for the next few moments, close your eyes, and then redirect your focus to your inhale and your exhale. And if your mind wanders elsewhere, then notice and redirect awareness to your breath. All right, today, to come together on the same page, breathe all the way in and all the way out. With an inhale, fill your belly into the side of your ribs. Pull your breath into your uppermost chest. And then exhale again. Breathe in, belly. Out into your ribs. Upward into your chest. And hold. Exhale 1/4. Pause. Down to 1/2. Pause again. To 1/4. Breathe all of it out. Breathe in. Hold your breath. Exhale 1/4. Halfway down. Out with another 1/4. Breathe out every drop. Breathe all the way in. Holds. Out with a 1/4. Down to 1/2. To 1/4. Out with all of the rest. Breathe in. Slowly breathe out. Leave a little air in your lungs at the end of your exhale. Just sort of pause at its natural pausing point. And again, hold your breath out at the end of your exhale. And when the time feels right, begin breathing again. And then join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Bring to mind someone you would like to dedicate today's practice to. And then send your person some good energy mentally. All right, then open your eyes. So today, grab your bolster or your pillow or your blanket roll and just put it near your right hand side over there. Go ahead and unfurl your legs. You've been sitting for a while. Maybe give them a little bit of a shake to loosen them up. It's good to rock from one side to the other side as well. And we'll start today's practice with a side bend. Over the course of the practice, we're going to take your spine through all 6 of its major ranges of motion. This will really liberate your back and it'll also open your hips and your hamstrings and your belly and chest and pretty much everything. So once you've got your bolster placed, take your right hand down to it and ground down through your sitting bones and just sit up as tall as you can. To initiate a side bend, tilt your right shoulder down toward the floor. If you're able to take your elbow down to the bolster, take it all the way down, though that's kind of a bit much. You can always do this one with straight arm instead. The important thing is you have a slight C-shaped curve through your spine. Now once you've done that, reach your left fingertips out and down toward the ground. And tilt your right ear toward your right shoulder to stretch open the side of your neck. Take some deep breaths and send them into the spaces that feel tense. If you wish to increase the stretch, keep extending and stretching out through your left fingertips. And just let your head get really, really heavy as you continue to hold there. Use an inhale to come back up and switch it off for the same posture on the other side. So the muscles you're stretching here at the top are your trapezius muscles. You're also getting some opening in the intercostals between your ribs and to some degree your lats. So reach your left arm over to the side and then tilt your left shoulder down toward your left hip to initiate that C-shaped curve in your spine. Now if that yields enough slack that you can take your elbow down, go for it. Otherwise, as I mentioned before, straight arm is totally fine. Now in this one, look directly forward initially. You want to go very gradually, but tilt your left ear toward your left shoulder. At the same time, stretch long through your right fingertips, extend them outwards as well as downward toward the floor. Take some deep breaths and send your inhales into the spaces in your neck that feel tense. And at the same time, just maintain whatever degree of side bend that you found. You have to exert some effort to stay in the posture, but try to exert as little effort as possible, with exception to what you're doing with the right hand. Actively stretch out through your fingertips to slide your shoulder away from your ear, and that will create a great solid opening in your neck. And use an inhale to come all the way back up. Just take a few moments to sit there with eyes closed and let your body adjust to once again being upright. Now in a bit, we'll do some additional things for the back of your neck and the front of your neck, but for now, something else. Slide both feet all the way forward. And bend your legs just enough to place your feet flat on the ground. Your heels should be about 3 feet ahead of your hips, but the best way to measure your stance is to put your feet flat. And then slide them far, far forward until the balls of your feet almost try to lift off the mat. That's going to be your best spot. With your heels and the balls of the feet touching, let your knees drop out to the sides. Grab the flesh of your sitting bones, sort of roll your flesh in the rear end backward a little bit, and then reach around to grab the bolster and place the bolster on top of the legs. It's just going to give you a little additional support. Initially, press the bolster down and try to hook the base of your ribs over it. And then give yourself just a bit of a forward lean. This one starts to affect your outermost hips. And to some degree, as you lean forward, it'll also start to stretch your back muscles. If you can reach all the way over and grab your feet, grab them. Otherwise, just leaning forward with your hands on the bolster is a great alternative. Now with the bolster placed just as it is, feel free to begin very gently rounding your spine, like the lens from a pair of sunglasses. And as you round, just let your belly and chest come a little further down to the bolster. If you feel any lower back pain or sensitivity around any area of your spine that doesn't feel great, focus on a really long spine in this one instead. Otherwise, just drape. And once you've found that sunglass shape with your spine, Draw your chin ever so slightly downward to reinforce that. Let your eyes drift closed. And stay focused on your breath as you continue to hold. This time, pause your breath at the end of your exhales. Hold it out until it becomes just a little bit uncomfortable. Every time you're holding your breath out, just try to relax mentally and physically, and let your body descend down to wherever it's meant to go. No force or strain or pulling whatsoever in the pose. As you breathe in, feel free to take big breaths that literally fill your back. But the most important thing is that as you breathe out, you hold your breath out at the end of your exhale and relax. Soften your face and jaw, and let everything else in your body follow along. If your ankles start to get a little sensitive, feel free to lift one heel and then the other one and alternate back and forth just to give them a little more space. Not much longer to go on this one here, but try to relax for the duration of the hold. Then walk your hands backwards and come all the way back to the upright. This time around, place the bolster near the left-hand side of your mat. Spin around to face your mat's most narrow edge if you're not already there. And finally, just lay down completely on your back. Now, there are a few ways to use this bolster to support your twist. Slide the bolster down until its end is about even with your left hip. Then extend your arms all the way out to your sides at shoulder height with your palms facing up. Now, draw your knees toward your chest. You can slide the bolster a little higher up toward your ribs if you need to. And drop your knees over to the left until they touch the bolster. And then slide your buttocks, your entire pelvis a little further right, and let them drop over to the bolster again. If your bolster is not well positioned, slide it down or up a little bit so it can rest underneath your knees. Now there's a second possibility if you prefer. If you like, you can put the bolster between your knees. That usually works the best if your left leg comes down to the floor. And with the bolster dropped over to your side, make sure your arms remain extended. Rather than tucking your tail to flatten your lower back, pull your tailbone backward and upward a little bit to maintain your lower back's normal and natural curve. Now we're going to use this pose to twist your neck. That'll release some more tension from your neck muscles. Rotate your head off to the right. And just let your head maintain that general position as you hold. Gravity's doing all the work for you in this posture, so just relax deeply and thoroughly as you hold. With deepening inhales, hold your breath out at the end of your exhale. 5 seconds or so every time you breathe out. Sometimes the arms start to develop tingles or the hands, pins, and needles in a posture like this. That sensation won't hurt you, but if you don't adjust, your arms will fall asleep and that just doesn't feel good. So if you feel that arising, feel free to make your hands into fists every so often. To extend your fingertips and clench your hands into fists. Sometimes that'll wake your arms up again. If that doesn't seem to be working, you can also lower your arms down toward your hips ever so slightly. That will reduce some of the stretch in your chest, but it should help with the tingling sensation. Rotate your gaze so that your gaze goes straight up again. Remove the bolster from between your knees if it's there, and then swing your knees all the way back up. And center your hips with the midline of your mat. And reach down and grab that bolster and slide it over to the other side of your body. Now finally repeat whichever variation you just did. Once you've dropped your knees to the side, slide your pelvis further left, which will create a long line from your neck to your pelvis and your ankles. And once all those are in relative and approximate vertical alignment, horizontal alignment rather, put your bolster into place either between your knees or outside the leg. Whatever you did on the side you did previously. If you turn your palms up toward the ceiling, that will externally rotate your arms and it'll create a slightly more effective positioning for chest stretching. So turn your palms up. And then once more, gaze, rotate, and shift your awareness out toward your left hand. Once you settle into that, just relax all muscular effort. Try to avoid tucking the tail. Instead, draw your tailbone backward ever so slightly. And just get heavy everywhere as you pause at the end of your exhales. Just feel the side of your skull settling into the mat every time you breathe out. And indirectly, that will really give you a great rotation in your neck. If you find a space that feels like it's clenching or resisting the stretch, shift awareness to it. Just imagine the tension melting like a melting ice cube. Sometimes that'll help release a little bit of it. And remember the solution to tangling arms or pins and needles. Make your hands into fists numerous times, or lower your arms just a little bit further down towards your hips. Now rotate your gaze back toward the ceiling. And draw your knees back up, sliding the bolster out of the way if necessary, and square your hips with the midline of your mat. And allow yourself to gently roll over to one side of your body. And to shift to the next position, press yourself all the way upward and out of that pose. And this next one is bolstered. So place the bolster behind you. And then back up a little bit so that the edge of your pelvis rests on the bolster, the blanket roll, or the pillows. Ideally, you want it to be positioned so that your spine and head can be supported. So lean all the way back. Let your head come down onto the pillow itself. And if you find that the pillow is a little too short, you can always shift your hips slightly further ahead so you have that support. It's really important that your head be supported with this one. Now turn your palms toward the ceiling, which will give you another really great chest opening. Sort of wiggle a little bit and squeeze your shoulders closer to your spine. Bend your legs, plant your feet on the earth, and with the inner borders of your feet initially touching, roll onto the outer borders of your feet and let your knees fall out to the sides. And this one does a whole lot. It stretches your inner thigh muscles, your adductors, and it really opens your chest muscles, your pectoral muscles. Gravity literally does everything that needs to be done in this posture. So just try to relax everything thoroughly. And this time, if you want to challenge yourself, pause for just a little bit longer at the end of your exhales. And just relax, relax, relax backward into your mat. At some point, you become more acutely aware of the tension in your inner groin. As that tension continues to build, perhaps shift some awareness to the spot that feels the most resistance to the stretch. And imagine that space relaxing and softening. If it helps, imagine that sensation of melting. Just let the weight of your bones settle down into the earth below. Mind drifts, just try to notice that it's drifted. Redirect to the feeling of the stretch. It's a great way to stay present. And then slowly draw your knees together. Slide your feet forward. Curl your chin to your chest. Use your hands to press upward and completely off of the bolster. Now for this next posture, you're not going to be needing the pillow, so slide it off near the side of your mat just so it's completely out of the way. And back to your back, lay all the way down. This next posture will open up the rear of your neck. And there's a specific arm position. So first, bend your legs, reach forward, and try to touch your middle fingers to your heels. Now, sometimes that's not possible. And if that's the case, that's all right. Just get as close to that as you're able to. Make sure that your feet are relatively even and parallel to the side of the mat. Parallel will feel like you're turning your heels out just a little bit. Now bend your arms to a full 90 degrees. From that position, if you press your elbows into the earth, you can lift your chest a little bit and squeeze your shoulders further under your body. To get the back of your neck, you want to make sure that your head remains level. So draw your chin ever so slightly down toward your chest. So you're looking straight upward in the air. Press your elbows down and then lead with your knees. Pretend you are trying to press your knees all the way forward toward the front of your mat to lift your hips. Keep stretching the knees forward as your hips rise higher and higher upward into the air. Lift your toes a little bit to put some weight in your heels. Roll your tailbone under just a little bit to engage your glutes. And keep pressing down through your elbows as you look straight up at the ceiling, drawing your chin ever so slightly down toward your chest. This one is, of course, a bit more intense, so we won't hold it nearly so long. Just try to keep breathing deeply as you hold throughout. Now from that arm position, take your palms straight down toward the ground. Your arms can be angled outward if you wish. Squeeze your shoulders even further under. Draw your chin toward your chest. And then press down through your feet. Let the base of your ribs move closer to your chin, and that will give you a little more stretch in your neck. All right, for the moment, come all the way back down to the earth. Let your shoulders come back to their more normal position. And then grab your right knee and draw it toward your chest. If you want a deeper stretch, interlace your hands behind your leg, the hamstrings, sort of near your back knee, and then work on extending your leg toward the ceiling. If you'd like more stretching, you can keep your leg relatively long, reach up and grab your calf muscle. Rotate your leg internally by rotating your big toe into center, and keep your leg extended upward as you hold. Take your leg all the way back down. Give your other knee a big squeeze to your chest. And feel free to grab the back of your knee for the second variation. If you do that, extend your leg up. It doesn't have to be totally on the back of your knee. You slide it a little further down toward your hamstrings if you like. If you're going for the third option, reach your hand a little further up and just use the one that's going to give you the best stretch in the back of your leg. Many bodies tend to sort of roll the leg out toward the side. That will miss some of your hamstrings, so try to roll your leg internally toward your center, like a log rolling to the base of a canyon. And then just keep pulling overhead as well as back until you feel some opening in the back of your leg. Keep the tension on and breathe. And for the moment, let your leg come all the way back down. Wave your knees from one side to the other side. And allow yourself to roll completely over and then onto one side. And press all the way back up to a seated, comfortably cross-legged position of some type. And once you've found your way to that, let your eyes close. Sort of sense throughout your whole entire body. Feel the lightness created by the postures you just took, and those flows of energy running through you as well. And take note of how you feel. And then join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Remember the person you dedicated your practice to, or choose someone who could use some good energy in your life. Perhaps pray for or maybe wish for their happiness and their health. And take a moment to be grateful for the gift of another day. And if you wish, repeat after me. May all sentient beings everywhere experience peace.